Hi students, how are you today? It's a beautiful day here in Southern California, so I thought I'd come down here to the beach and do my video instead of staying home. So let's get started. First is I and my friends. It is considered impolite in English to refer to yourself first when you are referring to yourself and others. Instead of I and my friends, you should write my friends and I. And if you are referring to several groups, give the group that is the least closely related to you the most respect by putting them first. For example, many foreign tourists, Japanese tourists, my family and I. My family is the closest to you, so you put them last. Next is and or. For some reason, Japanese often use and when they should use or, and vice versa. And means that all of the things listed are included. For example, we visited Asakusa, Sky Tower, and Disneyland. So we visited all three of those places. Or means that only one of the things listed is included. I would like Chinese food, Thai food, or Japanese food for dinner. So you do not want all three. You only want one of those three. Next is culture, custom, tradition. Japanese often mix up the meanings of culture and custom, as in I was exposed to a lot of different cultures in Australia. Culture refers to the behaviors and beliefs. Let me do this. Behaviors and beliefs characteristic of a particular social, ethnic, or age group. A custom, on the other hand, is a habitual practice, the usual way of acting in given circumstances. And customs are such practices collectively. So, a custom is, or customs are, part of a culture of a particular social, ethnic, or age group. My host family had the custom of saying a prayer before dinner. That is part of their culture. And a tradition is an inherited, established, or customary pattern of thought, action, or behavior, such as a religious practice or a social custom. Next, let's talk about ITS and IT apostrophe S. In general, the rule in English is that possession is indicated by attaching an apostrophe plus S to the end of a noun. But there is one exception to this rule. The possessive for it is spelled ITS. IT apostrophe S is the abbreviation for it is. But don't feel bad. Many native speakers of English also confuse these two words. Next is vocabulary. On vocabularies. The sun is kind of hot here, so I have to drink some. Okay, vocabularies. Japanese sometimes write sentences like this one. I learned a lot of new vocabularies by reading reading books in English. But vocabulary refers to all of the words used by or known by a particular person, people, or groups of people, so it's usually used in the singular. I learned a lot of new vocabulary by reading books in English. If you want to refer to more than one word, you can say vocabulary words. Next is number one. Japanese sometimes write number one. I guess they are trying to write the English equivalent of ichiban. For example, the brass band won number one in the competition. But there are two problems with this. First, abbreviations, let me fix this, okay. Abbreviations such as number one should not be used in essays. It's better to write it out, number one. Second, when writing about a competition, it's best to use the terms finish first, get or take or win first place or first prize, or simply won. brass band won first place. You can also use the word best instead of number one. Next, that or who. Here again, I'm probably more strict than other English teachers, but I insist that my students use that for things and who for humans and intelligent animals. So instead of saying, okay, here are we. So instead of writing, there was a student that gave up his seat on the train for an elderly lady, please write, there was a student who gave up his seat on the train for an elderly lady. Next is aren't or is more adjective than. Japanese will write sentences such as, books aren't more expensive than DVDs. Instead, just write, DVDs are more expensive than books, or books are cheaper than DVDs. Next is grade or year. Japanese often use the word grade in reference to a year in junior high school or high school. But native English speakers, at least in the US, number all the grades starting after kindergarten from first grade for 6 to 7-year-olds to 12th grade for high school seniors. So when a Japanese refers to when he was in the second grade, the native English speaker assumes the Japanese is referring to when he was 7 to 8 years old. And he gets confused when a writer uses grade to refer to a year in in junior high school or high school. So instead of writing when I was in the second grade of junior high school, you can say when I was in the second year of junior high school, or when I was a second year student in junior high school. Next is during and while. During means, one, throughout the duration, continuance, or existence of something, or two, at some time or point in the course of something. While, on the other hand, means during or at the time that, or to throughout the time that, as long as. So it's easy to confuse when during and while should be used. The rule is to use during before a noun. I heard a loud noise during the night, and use while before a verb or a verb phrase. Last night I was awakened by a loud noise while I was sleeping. Or you could say while sleeping. Next is merit and demerit. A merit is a commendable quality, but many Japanese misuse the word demerit. The word demerit is usually not used as the opposite of merit. A demerit is a mark against a person for misconduct or deficiency. Example, the teacher gave John a demerit for talking in class. Some words you can use for the opposite of merit are disadvantage, drawback, fault, flaw, and weakness. For example, this computer has many merits, but one of its disadvantages is its high price. Next is change and exchange. Japanese sometimes write sentences like, that site did not allow me to change the product. Change can mean to substitute another or others for. Exchange for something else, usually of the same kind. For example, such as I changed my clothes before I went on a date. However, in the context of returning something to a store or seller, it's better to use exchange because it means replace returned merchandise with an equivalent or something else. The website agreed to exchange what I had bought for another model. Or number two, part with in return for some equivalent, transfer for compensation. I exchanged or returned the camera for a refund. Next is challenge and try. Japanese like to use the word challenge in situations where a native speaker of English would probably use a different word. For example, a Japanese may write that he intends to challenge a test where a native speaker would say he's going to try hard or try his best to pass the test. Note, because they are direct translations of similar expressions in Japanese, Japanese tend to overuse the expressions make an effort to and make efforts to. So, let me fix this. Okay. Again, these expressions are not wrong, but why not use one of the expressions instead? You might as well try it. And last for today, exercise and move your body. Don't say move one's body unless you mean the physical act of changing your position, okay? Use exercise instead. Also, instead of saying that something makes your body strong, just say that it makes you strong. Okay, it's kind of hot here and I need to put some more sunscreen on. So that'll be all for today. Have a great summer. I'll see you after summer vacation. Okay, bye-bye.